Hello and welcome to today's live. So before we even get started, well, you can see what we're going to be talking about here, but before we get started, let me know what you think of the new setup. Is it good? How's the audio? Because obviously I can use my microphone again. Whiteboard good? So I've got the definitions where you're going to be able to see, should be here and here. It's actually a huge whiteboard, it's massive. This is going to be really good for our workshops, but we only need a little bit of space today. So let me know how the setup looks to you. Let me know if it looks good. I'm just going to open this on my phone because when I'm doing it this way I have to turn my phone around, so I can't read your lovely comments. So I'm going to open this live up on my other phone so then I can see what you have to say. So I've got you open here, so as you come along, say hello, let me know that you're here. I'd love to know that you're watching, and as I said, let me know what you think of this new setup. Tell me, how are the visuals, how is the audio? So already I'm seeing that there's a bit of a strip of, no, it's more here, strip of light makes it a little bit harder to see the board. So these are things that I will consider in the next videos. But let me know you're here, give me your feedback. So, food poisoning, let's get started. What is it? So food poisoning is basically where you eat some food that's basically not healthy for you, and it makes you feel pretty bad. So the common symptoms for this are abdominal pain. Actually, let me just snip in there. Why am I doing this video? So Joanna and I got food poisoning last night. We had Domino's pizza. We haven't had a Domino's. I haven't had a Domino's for maybe probably more than 10 years. It was like we just felt like it, so we did it kind of thing. We probably won't do it again because it made us feel not so great. So what is it? It's where you eat some food. More often than not, this is food that's been prepared by somebody else. I've cooked for myself for like a solid 6 years, or like Joanna, or cooking at home, never got food poisoning for like 6-7 years. I find this really happens when you're eating at restaurants or you're eating takeaways, and this is because it's either the food ingredients aren't good, like they're starting to go off, they're not vital anymore, they're not really healthy foods for you anymore, or the people preparing them aren't being very careful with their hygiene, so they're not washing their hands properly, they're not following like good kitchen hygiene. So that's pretty much what causes it to happen. So I kind of done this the wrong way around. Why it happens? So it's people aren't being careful with the food, they're not preparing it properly, they're not taking care with their hygiene. And basically what's happening is you're being exposed to some kind of organism that's potentially somewhat pathogenic to you. So this can look like E. coli and salmonella or other types of bacteria. It doesn't have to be bacteria, it can be yeast, it can be fungus, can be worms, can be a different type of parasite, can be a million different things, can be lots of different organisms. But in essence, you're being exposed to an organism that is not so healthy for you. And the symptoms of food poisoning are your body reacting and trying to remove this organism from your body. So how do we avoid it? So that's pretty simple. Just make sure that you don't eat food that hasn't been prepared properly. Make sure that you're eating at places that have good food hygiene. Maybe avoid fast food. That's a lesson that Joanna and I have learned. So just avoid poor quality food that hasn't been prepared very well. And how to recover. So this is going to be where we're going to focus a little bit more, because sometimes you have the feeling to go and eat out, eat at a restaurant. It all looks good, but you don't clock it and it gets you sick. It happens. It's normal. It's a normal part of life. But how do we recover faster? So first of all, there's a lot of stuff we can do before you even get sick that can prevent you from getting ill. So for example, Joanna got significantly more ill than I did. And this is because I've really been going quite hard with my probiotics recently. So probiotics are your beneficial bacteria, and these are going to help to protect you from any potential pathogenic organisms that you're exposed to anywhere. So it doesn't have to necessarily be from your food. It could be cold or flu or viruses or basically any kind of pathogenic organism that you're exposed to. Your primary line of defense is your healthy microflora. So if you can make sure that you're supporting your microflora, it's going to give you a really strong barrier of protection against food poisoning. Another thing that can be really helpful, this is your first line of protection against everything, is stomach acid. So if your stomach acid levels are appropriate, as soon as these organisms come into your digestive system, they're basically just going to be completely dissolved, annihilated by your stomach acid. So your stomach acid unless you've really done research into this, it's hard to fathom how potent stomach acid actually is. So stomach acid is so strong, it can literally dissolve metal. It can dissolve bone. I can remember my dog, we have very similar stomach acid levels to dogs. My dog ate a bone from it was like a lamb steak. And it was really thick when she swallowed it, and she wasn't digesting it quickly enough, and it made her vomit, it made her throw it up. But when she threw it up, it was like a third of the size that it was, only after an hour or so. And this is because the acid is so strong, it literally can dissolve bone and metal. So that same powerful acid is also able to kill pathogenic organisms. So make sure you've got strong stomach acid is a really good first line of protection. Then make sure you have strong microflora, strong healthy gut flora. So this is the best way that you can protect yourself here is to use fermented foods. Fermented foods, without a doubt, are the best thing that you can use here. If you can't tolerate fermented foods for some reason, you can use a probiotic supplement. Just make sure that it's quite strong and make sure that it really works for you. So you'll know that it works for you because when you take it, you'll feel something. Maybe initially you feel worse, but in the long run, it's making you feel better. Probiotic intolerance can be a bit of a tricky subject. It's very, very personalized. But general rule of thumb, fermented foods are going to be really helpful. So this is setting up your body so that when it happens, you're already on a strong place to be able to recover. But say it hits, and so where Joanna and I are right now, so we had the food last night, wake up this morning, loose stools, not feeling so great, some abdominal pain. What can we do now to recover? So first of all, I wouldn't eat until you actually feel hungry. Excuse me. So if you're not feeling hungry, that's your body saying, we've got stuff going on here, give us some space so we can work, we can fix this problem. So don't just wake up and just plow into breakfast because it's a routine that you have. If you get up and you don't feel hungry, don't eat. Wait until you get that hunger signal. So usually I eat breakfast pretty fast every day. Didn't really feel that hungry today, so I haven't really had anything. The only exception to this is to, as the previous point mentioned, take some probiotics or some fermented foods. So I didn't really have much of an appetite for anything, but I did feel like I could have some yogurt and some kefir. So I had a bigger amount of yogurt because I just felt like it, and a smaller amount of kefir. Kefir is incredibly strong. My current tolerance, my current dosage that works for me is still only a very, very small amount, 3 or 4 tablespoons. And the amount of beneficial microbes that you're going to get in that really, really tiny amount is in the billions, in the trillions. Kefir is a really powerful probiotic. Another point that I want to make about fermented foods is if you can eat these fermented foods with every meal, you're already giving yourself a layer of protection. So even though we were having, this is quite funny, right? You imagine Joanna and I having a Domino's pizza, you think it's quite unhealthy in a way, but we're having that, and we've got a side of kimchi. So we've got this really nice organic fermented kimchi. I've made a video about it before. I made a post. It's absolutely delicious. It tastes amazing. So we're eating the pizza, right? But then we've also got some kimchi on the side. So we're eating the pizza and the kimchi. And even though the food gave us food poisoning, I had a bigger dose of kimchi than Joanna, and my symptoms were way less. For me, it was just a little bit of abdominal pain in my upper solar plexus area and a slightly looser stool. Whereas for Joanna, she had belly cramps really badly before she went to bed, and it was worse diarrhea. So it really shows you that probiotics are the best thing that you can use to create that barrier to protect yourself, to mitigate damage that you've been exposed to from the meal, and to help yourself recover as well. So after you know you've had food poisoning, make sure that you dose up on probiotics because they're going to help to shift that microbiome imbalance that is basically what you're experiencing. We have a comment here. What a great topic. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'm trying to take gut health and apply it to real world situations that can actually help you. So don't eat until you feel hungry. That's really important because your body is cleaning itself, it's cleansing itself. And the only exception to this would be to utilize probiotics because it can help to restore that balance to your microbiome. Down here, we've got what not to do. So this is following the mainstream medicine approach is as soon as a symptom comes up, we just need to suppress it with medication. This is absolutely not what you want to do in this case. So this is your body fighting an acute infection. If you stop your body fighting an acute infection, it becomes a chronic infection because your body is trying to fix it, it's trying to fight it, and you stop it with a medication. So the infection doesn't get beaten, and then you have to coexist with it. So this is why about half the people that have recurrent candida infections or SIBO or treatment-resistant gut dysbiosis and things like that starts with an episode of acute infection, so a food poisoning event. It's very common. It's actually one of the most common catalytic events that leads to SIBO, IBS. It's called post-infectious IBS. And more often than not, this is because either they didn't support their body properly, so they just ate breakfast the next day and they didn't take any probiotics to support this dysbiosis situation that was occurring, or even worse than that, they took medication to suppress the symptoms of food poisoning. So the biggest examples of this would be something like having food poisoning and then getting a little bit of reflux, and then taking an antacid, again, destroying your stomach acid levels, so you're destroying its ability to kill these pathogens. When you have these belly cramps, the instinct might be to take something like Buscopan, an antispasmodic medication, but this is going to slow the motility down in your gut, which is going to stop your body from trying to shed this organism and move it out. So this cramping is your body trying to activate the motility. So your intestine is like this tube, and it wiggles like this. And the cramping that you feel when you have food poisoning is your body trying to push it out faster. It's trying to wiggle it out. And if you take an antispasmodic medication, it's going to stop it from doing that, which means the infection is just going to sit around and it's going to be able to replicate and multiply and become a chronic infection. And finally, you've got anti-diarrhea medications, so things like Diarrhelite or other medications that stop you from having diarrhea. You don't want to do this because as we said before, your body is trying to cleanse itself. You're having diarrhea because it's trying to push this pathogenic organism out. It's trying to rid itself of this organism and the toxins that it's producing. And if you stop it, you take a medication and you prevent it from being able to do this, well, it stays inside you. And instead of your body mounting this strong immune response to rid itself of this infection, you suppress that, and then the infection becomes chronic instead. So the worst thing that you can do, the thing you really do not want to do when you have food poisoning is suppress your food poisoning symptoms with medication. Because it's not going, you might feel temporarily a bit of symptom relief, but it's more than likely that the infection will become chronic instead of acute, which really sucks. You don't want chronic health problems. They're just not fun. You really don't want that. So really try to avoid taking suppressant medications. Allow your body the space to do what it's trying to do and respect it. So listen to your appetite. Don't eat if you're not hungry. Take a probiotic so that you can help to restore that imbalance in the microflora in your gut. And don't suppress what your body is trying to do. So if you're having diarrhea, go and have diarrhea. Don't hold it. Go to the toilet. Prioritize your health. It's really important. Listen to what your body's saying. If you feel tired, rest. If you feel you need to take the day off work, do it. Because if you don't, you might lose that day of work. You might lose that day's income. But if it becomes a chronic illness, you're going to lose a lot more money down the line. Your biggest priority is your health. Take it from me. If you lose your health, you lose everything. You lose all your relationships. You lose all your personal power. You lose all of your ability to create money and sustain yourself. You lose everything. So prioritize your own health. It's very important. So if you need to take that day off so that you can rest, sit on the toilet, recover, do that. Final note, something that can be helpful. If you're having extreme diarrhea and you're losing a lot of water, make sure you hydrate yourself. So this isn't just water, it's also electrolytes as well. So you could use an electrolyte powder, or you could, as we said before, fermented foods are a really great electrolyte supplement because they're full of vegetables, or even as an animal product. Animal products are also very, very high in electrolytes, and they're fermented as well, which just increases the bioavailability. So you could also use juicing. Juicing, very light on the digestive system, doesn't really require much power to digest. So if you are losing a lot of water through the stool, you can rehydrate with bone broth, it's a really cool one, fermented foods, and vegetable juicing. If you can't use a whole food option, these are the ones I would suggest. These are better. If you can't use these, you can use an electrolyte supplement. But again, this is very much to taste. So if you're feeling dehydrated and thirsty, it means you need to rehydrate and use electrolytes. And you'll know that because you're probably having a lot of bowel movements. So food poisoning, very avoidable, but it probably is inevitably going to happen to you at some point. You can avoid many of the symptoms by making sure you have an iron gut, strong stomach acid levels, a really good healthy microbiome. Work on that microbiome every single day. Diversity in the diet, different colours of vegetables, lots of different types of fermented foods. Go for your sauerkraut, for kimchi, kefir, yogurt. Try the Asian varieties, so even things like fermented shoyu, which is soy sauce, but it's actually a fermented food, so it's got probiotics in it. You've got apple cider vinegar, you've got kombucha, you've got all of these different types of fermented foods, and the more variety you have, the more strength you have. A strong microbiome is characterized by diversity. So the bigger diversity that you have in the fermented foods that you eat, and the bigger diversity you have in the diet that you eat, and this isn't just plant foods, this is animal foods as well. Different animal foods will encourage growth of different organisms. It's different spices, it's different herbs. Think of things that smell different, that taste different. It's not just about the prebiotic fibers that they have, it's about the polyphenolic compounds. So think about how chocolate smells, think about how coffee smells, think about the dark colour that they have. Think about how blueberries are really bright blue and they've got this rich purple colour. And just think about all of these different types of colours, flavours and tastes and smells, aromas. These are all different flavonoids which are going to help to increase the diversity of your microbiome. And that's what makes it strong. So finishing up, food poisoning is probably going to happen to everybody at some point. It's not the end of the world, especially if you know how to listen to your body and how to provide it the support that it needs. An ounce of, as my dad used to say, an ounce of prevention is worth a ton of cure. If you can avoid getting food poisoning in the first place, fantastic. None of this becomes relevant. So make sure that you're eating in good quality restaurants. Avoid fast food if you know that it's not well prepared there. So we will never order from that restaurant ever again because it didn't make us feel very good. It's pretty logical. Animals in nature, they eat somewhere, it makes them feel bad, they stop eating there. But sometimes as humans, we think we're smarter than the animals, but we're not. So if you eat somewhere, it makes you sick, don't eat there again. They probably don't have good food hygiene. So avoid it if you can. If it does happen, rehydrate. Don't eat unless you really feel hungry, and fortify your body with probiotics. They're going to be the thing that really helps you recover. So that's everything from me today. I'm going to finish up now. I'm going to have to walk around to the other side of the camera to hang this up. So that's everything from me. If you have any questions about this after watching, please let me know, and I'll see you soon. Let me know what you think of the setup. Do you like it? I'm going to do more whiteboard stuff soon, so let me know if you like that. Okay. Oh, before I finish up, let me tell you, we've got lots of legs down here. My legs, whiteboard legs, and chair legs. So we've got the metaphysical and emotional root cause of illness workshop coming up on Sunday. So that's like literally 2 days from now. If you're interested in this, please let me know. I'm trying to get people in as soon as possible so I can get your questions. Metaphysics, very vast topic. So I need to do research beforehand. You've got 24 hours if you want to join and get your questions answered in the workshop. So if you haven't already joined, this is your call. Like, it's happening in basically 2 days. So if you don't join in the next 24 hours, you're going to miss it. So make sure you sign up. If you have bought it already, or if you're in the Health Potion Academy, you already have a digital ticket in your email. So literally just go into your emails and search digital ticket. It says digital ticket to this event, and it will give you the link to join, and it puts it all in your calendar and everything. It's all really nice and fancy. It's really cool. So check your emails if you've already paid, or if you're in the Health Potion Academy, you'll have your invitation in there. And if you're interested in joining, just send me a DM or leave me a comment on the video and say, I want to join the workshop, and I'll send you more information about how you can join. I've got one comment. Thank you so much for such great information. Thank you, thanks. You're absolutely welcome. My pleasure. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, really looking forward to being able to do content on this whiteboard. So yeah, that's everything for me today. I'm going to walk around there and hang up the live. So yeah, see you soon. Ciao. Goodbye.